Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of SolarWinds customization, specifically about capacity planning around that. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll get into who will be on this webinar, who is presenting. So myself, I am Dax Atwood. I'm one of the account managers for Prosperon Networks. And joining me on the webinar today is our technical manager, Raul Gonzalez. Raul, are you there?
Hello, Dax. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, Raul. There's a few links on the screen, which you're welcome to take note of if you want to do a little bit more connect with one of us or do a little bit more research into Prospero networks. But without further ado, what we'll do is we'll go into the agenda. So today we're going to be talking about capacity planning basics with Raul Gonzalez, and we're going to be going through a live demo where Raul will be showing us some custom dashboards, specifically around the capacity planning and reporting. And then after the demo, we'll also be having a question and answer session. But please, if you do have any questions whilst we are going over the demonstration, please feel free to use the webinar questions page, and we will drop in and answer those. So a little bit about Prosperon at a glance. We've been a partner for SolarWinds for 14 years, and we have done over 600 days professional services with many different customers, and we're doing 800 plus support cases with our customers every year. We also have 8 SolarWinds certified professional engineers who are also security cleared. So we're able to go to very high security sites. We've got a number of customers in that regard. And we've also got some SWQL MVPs, which we obviously pride ourselves on in our technical team. Why professional services with Prosperon Networks? We offer consultancy for those customers, and we can help you with implementation of your product. So if you guys are going through a restructuring with your monitoring solution, or if you're implementing SolarWinds for the first time, we're able to help with that and assist. We also offer custom API coding. So what I mean by that is if you have other tools in your, which most of you do, if you have other tools, then we are able to offer the ability to integrate those tools with SolarWinds, and using the RESTful API, we're able to have those tools work together. We also have dedicated trainers who offer consultancy and training for getting you guys up to speed. We offer a administrator training course, and we can also come on site and do customized training for the staff. We also have an in-house technical support team, and for the customers who have partnered with us, they make use of our dedicated support team who will assist with answering questions, and they will also provide technical support for any issues that you might have. This is over and above the standard SolarWinds technical support, whereby those queues can be a little bit long. Having that dedicated support personnel through us can really assist in speeding up those cases, and we'll work with SolarWinds on your behalf to ensure that any cases are resolved timely. We also, for partners of us, we also offer health checks on the platform, whereby we can take a look at the platform as a whole, and recommend any improvements to the platform and ensure that the platform is running 100% fine. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into our first poll. And the poll is a question: how are you currently doing capacity planning? And those poll questions should be on your screen in a minute. Okay, we're just waiting for a couple more people. Okay, I believe The poll results should now be on the screen. So if we have a look at that, we can see that most of the people attending the webinar today are using the default SolarWinds resources for capacity planning. We have a few that are not doing it at all. And then of course we have a couple that are also using a different tool. So for all of those of you out there who are either not doing it or use the default SolarWinds, and the others, the demo today with Raul should be very useful in getting the most out of your capacity planning. So I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to Raul, who's going to talk to you a little bit about capacity planning as a whole, and then he will be taking you through to a live demo.
Thank you, Dax. Let me share my screen, and there we are. So, capacity planning with SolarWinds. So we have seen on the results of the first poll, more of half of you guys are using the default options that we have in SolarWinds, which is very good. At least you guys are aware of this functionality and you're using it. But we're going to see how we can extend that functionality within SolarWinds. We don't have to get any other tool, an external tool like Grafana or Power BI or any of these BI solutions that we have on the market. Some of them for free, some of them you have to pay for them. We're going to see how we can extend this capability within SolarWinds. So, first of all, we have to review why we do capacity planning. Well, there are lots of different reasons why we do that. It could be to manage the internal or external demand of our resources, or even to better utilize our resources. Maybe have some VMs that have over subscription or under subscription of resources like CPU, memory, disks. If we have the information, if we analyze our capacity, we're going to be in a much better position to distribute the resources in a much better way. Also to future-proof our networks. So what if we have more demands, more web users, more clients, more people coming to the office? So we need to make sure that our platform is going to be able to cope, to support all these extra people or connections or any kind of other resource that it will be required for our network. And also for budgeting. So sometimes we have to prepare the budget for the next financial year. How do we know what is the budget that we're going to require if we don't know what is going to be required? Do we need more VMs? Do we need more CPU? Do we need more storage? If you don't know, if you don't analyze the capacity requirements of your platform, you're not going to be able to do accurate budgets of the required budgets for your department. So this is another important point on why we have to analyze the future resources that will be required in our network. Some of the examples, probably you guys have more. This is one of the main ones that we have out there. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to manage the capacity of our network? Well, in SolarWinds, we have two options. We can use the out-of-the-box resources, these ones that 50% of you guys are using, which are great, amazing, they're really good. We're going to encourage you to use them. But also, we're going to use our own custom dashboards and custom reports that will give us this extra data, extra information to be able to do more accurately analysis of your capacity requirements. In terms of out-of-the-box resources, this is something that probably you guys are aware. We have this capacity out-of-the-box in SolarWinds for node information like CPU and memory, interface information for mainly interface traffic, volume data for disk capacity, and also if you guys have Virtualization Manager, vMan, you can get this information for VM clusters in terms of CPU, memory, and disks. And if you have also Storage Resource Monitor, SRM, in the Orion platform, you can get this information for storage devices in terms of LAN capacity, pool capacity, and storage array capacity. So this is what out-of-the-box SolarWinds gives to us, which is great, is very good. What about the rest? What if we talk about port usage? As you guys know, in UDT, User Device Tracker, and all of the modules that we have in SolarWinds, we can monitor the port density that is being used at the moment. How can we work and analyze the future requirements in terms of port capacity? this is something that SolarWinds doesn't give us anything out of the box. What about web users? What about SQL connections? Actually, I read the other day that around 80% of the application performance issues are caused by the database. So SQL, Postgre, MongoDB, any kind of that database is the one that is slowing everything down. And one of the main issues, or one of the main reasons why this is happening, is because we have too many connections. How can we track? How can we forecast the number of SQL connections? That's something we're going to show you how to do it. And other metrics like wireless users, subnet usage, if you have IPAM, virtual machines, again, if you have VMan, all this information is very important. All these metrics, we should forecast them and analyze the capacity in order to be better prepared for the future. How are we going to do this? Well, as you will see during the demonstration, some of them is using some of the default resources that we have in SolarWinds, but most of them, what we're going to have to do is use custom queries. In SolarWinds, we can use two different types of custom queries. We can use SQL or SQL. These two have some pros and cons. As you can see here, SQL pros is better documentation. I mean, everyone uses SQL, so you can find lots of resources online. Or as you can see, online communities, if you have some questions, they will answer with the best approach. Or you have also more functionality. There are lots of more built-in functions that you can use in SQL. However, in SQL, that is the SolarWinds query language, you have built-in joins. So you want to join different tables. There are some of them are already built in that will make you create the query much faster. Also, the queries can be used in more resources. So SQL can be used in custom tables and custom charts. SQL can be used in tables and charts, plus custom queries, plus custom tiles, plus custom HTML. So you can reutilize the same query for other resources. And finally, SQL works against the SolarWinds Information Service that caches the data, meaning that the results are faster loaded. So you can see there are some pros and cons. As a personal choice, normally I use SQL because, as I mentioned before, allows me to reuse these queries in lots of different places. Some other people prefer SQL. It's up to you guys what you want to use. Both of them are very useful. So, before we go to the live demo, I have a second poll that I would like you to answer. Let me see if we can share it. Okay, I think we're having some issues with the poll. Okay, don't worry. Let me do it later on. Come back to the poll. I think we're having some issues with that. It's fine. Let's go to the demonstration. So let me close this. And let's do the demo. So, as I mentioned before, we have two different ways to show the capacity information in your SolarWinds platform. One of them is using the default capacity resources. That is something that comes out of the box, that more or less 50% of you guys are using it. The other is using the custom resources that we're going to use, mainly using custom SQL or SQL queries. So let's have a look and let's see some of the default resources. I have here some links that I can show you. So let me go here. So for example, at the node level, remember that we have CPU and memory. This is something that comes out of the box. This is a node details view, as you can see, for one specific server. And this server, on this view, we have created a new tab that is the capacity forecast, where you can see capacity information for node and also for volume that will come back later on. In terms of node capacity, you can see CPU, you have historical data. We are not growing, means that we're never going to reach these thresholds. In terms of memory, as you can see, it's slowly growing. Actually, 0.19% per day, meaning that we're going to reach the warning threshold in 8 weeks, critical threshold in 3 months, at capacity 100% in 5 months. Okay, this is something that comes out of the box. This is something that using the default resources that you have here, the stable capacity, You will be able to drag and drop, no coding, very easy, just show this information on your node details views. Something similar, we have it for the volumes, and actually we have it here. So if I click on the volume, you will go to the volume detail page that will show you the current statistics and some historical data of the volumes, plus also the capacity forecast for this particular volume. As you can see, again, this is slowly growing, 0.07% per day, meaning that in 11 months, we're gonna reach warning, in more than 1 year critical, in more than 1 year at capacity. Again, this is a default resource, very, very useful. I really, guys, encourage you to use them because they give you a very good insight of the trend of these metrics. Also, if you have NPM, you will be able to get this information for interface traffic. So let me go to an interface, and this interface will show you the forecast for interface utilization. You can see the utilization. Again, we can see that we are growing very slowly, meaning that we're going to reach the thresholds in more than 1 year. This is for receive. This is for transmit. Good. Also, just we are here, show you a couple of resources that are not completely related to capacity forecast. These resources, this is something, again, using SQL or SQL queries, can give you the usual traffic for this interface. This is one of our internet connections. As you can see that on a normal day, on a normal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, per hour, you can see the usual traffic. This is for the whole week. This is for today. Today is Thursday. You can see the usual traffic on a Thursday and the current traffic today on a Thursday. As you can see, is very similar to the usual one. There's an idea of what kind of things we can do. Also, we mentioned before, we can have this information not at the node level, but at the summary level. So I don't want to go and drill down to each device or interface or volume to see this data. We can have a view that shows you all these problems in a single view. And this is this kind of capacity forecast view. Again, using default resources. This resource is called top 10 capacity problems. And the only thing we do on this resource is filter for different metrics. We have CPU, memory, disk, and interface. What we do in each of these resources is just filter for the metric, making it much easier for us to see the information. So you can see in terms of CPU, we have some problems on this server. In memory, we have some more problems here. For this, some potential problems here. And in terms of traffic, at the moment, we don't have any problem. Again, these are default resources that you have available if you have NPM or SAM. If we have other modules, we can also use this capacity forecast information. For example, if you have Virtualization Manager, vMan, we can use the built-in, I think I have to log in, capacity planning solution. This feature allows us to create these what-if scenarios. What if we add more hosts to our system? What if we add more VMs? Is our platform going to be able to cope with this extra capacity? Well, you can create the report and see the status. In this case, we have a specific platform where we are adding more VMs, 30 VMs. So in total, we're going to have 47. At the moment, we have 2 hosts. We want to add 5 more. So in total, we're going to have 7 hosts. Based on the situation, at this moment, this is the CPU usage that in a normal situation will grow this way. If we add the resources, we're going to grow up to this level, but actually you can see that the growth rate is slower. Actually mean that at this point, to reach 80% of capacity in CPU, in the simulation will take 4 years, 90% 7 years, capacity 10 years. That is less than at the current level. Similar for memory, this is at this point, this will be the normal trend, and if we add all these extra hosts and extra VMs, you can see the growth rate. And a similar thing for disk. Again, these are the built-in resources that you can use if you have vMan. And something similar we have for SRM, storage resource monitor. That is the module that monitors the capacity of your storage devices. As you will see, we have a default resource, that is this one, that shows you the capacity for LUNs, pools, and storage arrays. As you can see, we have 705 elements here. I could click show all to show all the results, but this would make this view quite long. One trick that I normally use is when this happens, you can click on the name of the resource. This will open a new window just with this resource, and then you can click show all. That is not going to mess with your view. Also bear in mind that as we have 705 resources, this is going to take a little bit of time to populate. So now it's normal that it's showing this black box here. It's going to take a bit of time to start populating, because first of all, this is the Orion demo. It takes some time, and also we have lots of resources. But finally, at some point, you will see that this LAN at the moment is at capacity, but for example, this one is at 99.9, but it's going to take more than 5 years because the growth rate is quite low. And you can see the same for the rest once this resource starts displaying data. But again, these are the resources that you guys, at least 50% of you guys are using. That is the default resources that are very good. They give you really good insight on how your network and the future capacity capacity information that you will need to plan your future. This is very good, but at some point, if you want to get other metrics, as we mentioned, like port usage or web users or SQL usage or subnet utilization or application performance or even the number of calls that your company is doing, you will need to create your own dashboards, your own resources to display this data. In some situations, it can be easy. Okay, so for example, let me create a new view where we're going to be practicing creating these dashboards. So let me go to settings and add a new dashboard here. Let's going to call it capacity planning demo. I'm just going to use this random view to create some resources. And imagine that I want to see the growth rate of the number of VMs that we're using in our environment. So what I would do is use a custom chart. I'm just going to display this chart. And then on this chart, I'm going to display the VM information. As I mentioned before, most of the times you're going to use custom queries. In this case, if you can use the default graphical interface filter, it's going to be much better. It's going to be much easier to create. So what I'm going to do is I want to see information about our VM hosts that are the ones running the VMs. I don't want to create any filter. I want to see all the hosts. And as you will see, using the default filters, I can show number of VMs running. Okay. Now, just to make it a little bit nice, I can say here that these are VMs. I want to see, I don't know, let's say the last 12 months. Let's have a look how it looks. And this will be the result. Oh, sorry, I forgot to change this to 1 day because it's the retention period. And you can see the historical data of these metrics. Here, it looks like we are growing in number of VMs, but it's not clear. Just to make it nicer, what we can do is add a trend. Now it's going to be easier for us. Actually, I'm going to change this to make it easier to see. It's going to be easier for us to see if we are growing in the number of VMs. As you can see, in all the hosts that we have, the number of VMs are growing. At the moment, it's not too much, but you can see that slowly, the number of VMs is growing up, which is very good to see. Just to show you the kind of information that we have created here. This is a view already created for you guys. You can see the number of VM runnings, and also we can see the VMs configured. And the same, using the default thresholds, we can use it for other type of dashboards. Like for example, show me the amount of wireless users in our wireless network. Again, you can see that slowly is growing. Or for example, for applications, if you have some, we can do is show web users, SQL users, or in this case, we see LDAP users. But as you can see here, is quite consistent. In this case, we are not growing, meaning that potentially we don't need more domain controllers in our network. So this is the easy way. This is using just the graphical interface. We can use the filters to select the metrics that we want, select the retention period or the time frame, and the metrics that we want to display. However, in some situations, this is not going to be possible. In some situations, we're going to have to use some scripts to get the data that we want. So for example, if I go here and I remove this because I want to create a new dashboard, I want to see the total spare disk capacity available in our network. So you can come here, go to volumes, because that's pretty much the metric that we want to get, volume data. I don't want to see any filter, just let me check this name. But now, if you have a look at the options here, there is nothing that will give you total spare capacity. There is no option. What does it mean? Does it mean that we cannot get this data? Well, if you go to your SolarWinds installation, you can see this data. You can see the total capacity, you can see the average use capacity, you can see all the volumes. So this data is in the database, meaning that using some queries, we can extract this data. How can we do that? Again, we can use SQL or we can use SQL queries. What I'm going to do is use SWQL. And in order to use SWQL, we can use a tool called SWQL Studio. This is something that you can install on the main server. You can install in your PC. For example, this is on my PC. I connect to my SolarWinds instance, and here will show me all the tables available on your installation. Depending on the number of modules that you guys have, you will see more or less values here. So I'm interested in spare capacity. That information is going to be displayed in the volume usage history table. This will give me the information I want. Just I can have a look to see how this table is displayed. Let's see, it shows me the disk capacity, the average capacity, is showing me the time that we're getting this data. So playing with this data, creating a simple script, I can get the information I want. For example, what I'm going to see is show me the total disk capacity that is not being used. So show me the disk size minus the average disk use. This should show me the spare capacity. Okay, so I could do something like this, and this will show me the total spare capacity. But this is important based on a specific time. So what I could do is, I don't want to see every single minute. I don't want to be so granular. I want to do it per day. So what I'm going to do is only show me the day of each of these metrics. Okay. If I do it this way, I have to group by this to group the values in a specific way. And now this, let me see, sorry, group by. This will show me the spare capacity on each individual day. And finally, because if I want to create a chart, I need a label. So I'm going to select a specific label. You can select anything. And also because I'm only interested in fixed disks, I'm not interested in RAM memory and other type of memory. What I'm going to do is create a filter to show fixed disks. Okay. Look, this is a built-in join. This is one of the reasons we use SWQL. I don't have to join this table with the volumes table. I have a built-in join here that allows me to create this relationship. Okay? So this way, this is going to show me the spare capacity per day for only fixed disks. So now that I have this, that is going to work at some point, yeah, that is working, I can go back to this resource, a custom chart, select query method, this is SWQL, paste it here, and this will allow me to display this data. So now if I select the metric I want to display, that is the spare capacity, if you remember, this is in bytes because it's spare capacity, I have to tell the chart which is the date function, the date variable, is this one. And finally, as I mentioned before, we have to define a label. It's some kind of name to be displayed. If now I display this for the last, I don't know, let's say 30 days, this should show you the total spare capacity of your platform in the last 30 days. So you can see here, at this point, we added a new resource. It went up the spare capacity, then we created some VMs, so you can see the trend on your spare capacity. So this way, very simple, we have created a script you have here that will give you this information. Just checking the tables that you have in SQL or also in SQL. What else can we do? Well, we have custom charts. Actually, I'm going to save this. We also have custom tables. So what I'm going to do is add a new custom table that, again, you can use the default filter that you have available out of the box, or you can use custom queries. So for example, now what I want to display is the overall availability of my devices group per month. And again, if you try to do it this way, you will see that there is no option. So what can we do then? What is the solution for this? Well, again, what we have to do is go back to our friend, SWQL Studio, find the table that give us historical data, sorry, availability, that in this case is this one, or in response time. Again, we can have a look and see the data, and play with the data. So for example, if you want to see the overall availability of your platform this month, that should be something very simple. I have here time, I have here availability. So something as simple as show me the average availability of this month, where the month difference between the time that we got the value and now is equal to 0. This will show you the average availability this month. Okay, we have lots of decimals. Let's make it nice. Round with 2 decimals. Not going to be better, but also if you want to show the percentage symbol, we can do is convert this to a string and then add the percentage symbol. Okay, and this is going to take some time, but this will display the average availability of all my devices for this month. As you can see, this is result, and actually it's very simple to change to another month. As you can see here, this is for the last month. And actually, if you want to show this month and last month in the same query, it shouldn't be too difficult using inner joins. For example, this is going to be S2, this is going to be S1. I'm going to have to join in somehow. In this case, as we have one result, it's going to be this way. So what I can do is select the first value and the second value from this table. So now it's going to show the availability for both. Well, it's the same. Let me change this to this month. So this is going to be this month availability. This is going to be last month availability. And if you want to create, for example, for the last 6 months, the last 12 months, as you can see, very easy. Just copy this query and do it again, again, and again. Actually, I prepared it to make it a bit nice. This query here, that basically shows you for the last 12 months. And you will see that shows you the availability for the last 12 months. This, how does it look in real life? How does it look in a normal chart? So actually, I created a chart, sorry, a table that shows you this information. Let me get the link. Let's put it here. This is the way it would look. This is the node availability. At the moment is for all the nodes. We can see that 6 months ago was 98.26. The following month was 88.16. As it went down, I have a red icon. It went down icon, red icon, red icon. And this month, it went up compared with the last month. That's when it has the green icon. And this is grouped for all the devices, but you could group here by site, device type, team, anything you want. This is the power of the scripts. And you have seen, very simple. This one looks a bit more complex, but because I have to do it for each month. 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and so on. And this is basically a bit of to make it nice and pretty. We have more options. Also, we can use something called custom query. A custom query resource is very similar to the custom table. It shows columns and rows. The difference is that custom query, you cannot use the default filter. There is no filter. The only thing that you can do is use custom queries. So for example, what I want to see on this one is the interface forecast capacity information. So what I'm going to do is get out from here. Actually, let me remove all these resources. I don't need them anymore. I'm going to create a custom query. This one only accepts SWQL. This doesn't work with SQL. Bear that in mind. And what we have to do is add here the SWQL query. So let's go back here. Now interested on interface forecast capacity information. So I'm going to go to the table that shows me that data. And this table is this one here. So on this one, as you can see, it's going to be very simple. What we're going to do is display the capacity forecast information, how many days it's going to take before we reach to warning, to critical, or to capacity. Okay, so we could play with this script, and it's going to get the one I have already configured. And it's going to paste it. It's very simple. Just again, what we do is make things nice, but the content is exactly the same. And just copying and pasting this query here, this will show the information that we want to display. So let me expand this and display this information. Okay, so why do we use custom table compared with custom query? Well, the main reason is because of this. This resource allows us to search. So what I'm going to do is paste this query here that is exactly the same as above, but I added this bit. Show me the results where site contains the search string or the caption or the name of the interface contains the search string. Doing this way, now you can search, for example, I want to see everything that is in wording. You can type and this comes back with the result. Or I want to see our AD servers. Type for AD, I will come back with the AD servers. This search functionality is very, very, very useful. Just to show you, again, this resource that is created in one of our demos. This is the way it looks. And you can go around, and if you want to search, you can search. So you can see custom queries are very, very powerful as well. And finally, the last resource I wanted to show you is something called custom HTML. So this resource allows us to embed any kind of HTML code in SolarWinds. Oops. Okay, it looks that it doesn't like it, so let me do it this way. Custom HTML. So we can use HTML code to embed the information. But as SolarWinds has a REST API that allows us to, using some REST API connections, get information from the database, we can embed here information regarding anything that is in our platform. So for example, what I like to do is I want to see the amount of time, or the percentage of time our devices are using CPU over a specific threshold, let's say 70%. This is something that we can get. Again, we have to find the table. In this case, is the CPU load table. This shows you all the CPU usage. But I want to see is count how much time I'm on a specific threshold. That should be not too difficult. The way that we count time is using a variable here, a column called wait that we have here. So what we could do is tell me all the wait, that means all the time that a device is over a specific threshold. So from here, where average load is over, I don't know, let's say 70%. Okay. As simple as this. But now what I could do is, okay, but compare it against the whole time. So what I can do is inner join this table with this same result, but in this case, forever, not only when the CPU is over a specific threshold. So what I do is just to make it nice, select. I have to do it this way because there is a limitation on the way SolarWinds handles the variables, but when total divided as to total, as total, this should show you the amount of time, the percentage of time that the CPU is over 70%. And again, this is going to show you the result, but if you want to put the percentage, okay, I forgot about something. Okay, I don't know how it is, I forgot, so I'm going to just copy the query I have here prepared. That is exactly the same. I will show you that, yeah, this is 5.48% that the time is, the CPU is over 70%. So now what we can do is add this to an HTML code that I have here, add all these queries. Basically, this is the query I was using, and the rest is HTML code, purely HTML code. This is getting the information using the REST API, formatting the information, but I'm mainly using these custom SWQL queries. And this way, it will give you this information. You can see that at the moment, this is the amount of time that today the CPU is over from all the devices, is over the threshold, that is 70%. This is yesterday, last 7 days, last 14 days. As you can see, this icon is going down because yesterday was higher than today. If it was the opposite, today was higher, this arrow will be up. And again, to show you what we've done here, let me show you this view. We can see exactly the same HTML code plus a chart that shows you the average, so the amount of time the CPU is over 70%. As you can see, the trend is going down. Okay, so these are the ways that we have to, in a very simple way, to create this kind of capacity planning utilization, capacity planning dashboards. Now, I would like to show you some specific reports that we have created. They are more complex, they are more elaborated to show the information that you want, but just to show you how powerful this is. So I'm going to go to reports because I created not a dashboard, but a report. And I created these 3 reports here. So let's start with the UDT port capacity. This is what we mentioned before. This one shows you the maximum capacity used in terms of port density for each of the devices that we have in our network. It shows you the status right now. It shows you the maximum use. As we mentioned before, as you can see here, if we only get this value, maybe we are missing the people that today is off sick, that today is on holidays, or for whatever reason today are not in the office. That's why we need to check not the result right now, the maximum result, the maximum amount of ports being used for the last 90 days, 30 days, something like that. That will give you a much more accurate value on the number of ports being used on each of these switches. And if you want to have a look at the report, mainly this is using SQL, just getting the data from the tables. So this is one example of the reports that we have. Another example, let's go to application. So as you can see, the default resources are very focused on CPU, memory, traffic, and disk utilization. But what about application performance? We mentioned before, web users, SQL connections, that's very important. We need to know when we're reaching capacity. We need to know when this is going to happen. And this is what this report does. For any performance counter that you have on any of the applications that you're monitoring, it will tell you the average value for each of the months. So February, you have here, March, April, May, the average value. The icon will show you that if this value is over the threshold or not. So this is over the threshold, this is not over the threshold, this is over the critical threshold. This will tell you the monthly growth rate, this column here. You have the threshold for these values and how many days before you reach the warning threshold or the critical threshold. Okay, this report is very useful because you have any value that is going to happen. For example, here we already reached the 1 year threshold, and it takes 126 days before we reach critical. So probably we have to add more capacity to be able to run more jobs in Orion. And again, this is a little bit more complex, this report. As you will see, you have here all the code that you want to do. Also, this is quite useful because what you can do is, look, I'm not interested in all the applications. What you can do is define the component, the application, or the server that you're interested. If you create this filter and you add here the name of the server or the name of the application or the component that you want to use, this report will filter only for these particular values. Very, very useful. And finally, the last report I wanted to show you is the Viscosity. So, as I mentioned before, SolarWinds already does a very good job with this capacity. Why do we create a different one? Let me show you a sample. I have a volume here where the capacity use has been very even, very static all the time, as you can see here. But at some point, someone copy a big file and this grew, which is not a problem. But what happens is that the way SolarWinds calculates the capacity forecast has seen a big difference. It's telling you that it's going to take 3 days before we reach capacity. And actually, this is not true. What happened is that someone copied a big file, and that's why you can see here the big jump in terms of capacity use. How can we avoid these situations, these false alerts? This report, what it does is calculates the same, the capacity, but exclude from the calculation the top 5 and bottom 5% of results from this calculation. So if there is a big jump, it's not consistently high, it's just one-off, this will be excluded from this calculation. And actually, you can see that this volume is this one, C drive on Pman. If we have here the result, actually it's not even the top ones. Why? Because it's not true that it's going to have so much growth. Actually, is here that is saying that it's growing 0%, so never is going to happen, which is actually true. This is the way it's happening. Again, this report is using SQL, it's a complex one, but you can define here, for example, the period, which is the amount of data that you want to consider for this report, and the percentage that you want to consider. 5% will remove the top 5 and bottom 5. One of my colleagues told me that probably 2.5 will be better because in total you are removing the 5%. So again, all these reports are complex, but they're analyzing the data and getting the data the way you want. So let me go back to my slides, because all these 2 reports that I show you guys are available in our website. Our website, we have a section for blogs, and these 3 complex blogs that I just showed you, the port capacity, the application performance, and the custom disk capacity, can be downloaded from our website. So actually, let me show you how to do that. We can go to our website, prosperon.co.uk. Here you can get a lot of information on our company, but in the Insights section, you will find the reports, the port capacity and disk capacity, and the application. Just go to this website, you will see an explanation, pretty much what I explained to you guys today, and you will be able to download the reports from here. This is very good for you guys because you can have access to the reports today. But what if you want to create your own reports? As you can see before, when I was checking the tables, I didn't really know which were the tables I had to look. Well, for us guys, we have this masterclass. Is an option that you guys can get from us. Is a day where we go on site and we show you how to get all these reports. We show you the most common select statements, how to join tables, which are the tables that you can get the information. So you're going to be able, after this day, you're going to be able to create your own reports by your own. Reports, dashboards, analyze the data the way you want. Using this masterclass is going to be very, very useful for you guys to get these skills to be able to do these kind of reports as we showed today. So this is pretty much everything I wanted to show you guys. So I hand it again to you, Dax, all yours.
Thank you, Raul, and thanks for that wonderful demo. That was very insightful. Even I learned a lot. I am opening the floor up to any of our attendees that may have any questions. I did not see any questions come through during the demo, but if you have any questions right now before we end the webinar, feel free. I'll give a little bit of time to see if any questions come through, and then we'll do our outro and goodbye. Okay, so not really a question, just someone came through saying thank you, but I'm not seeing any other questions at this time. Yep, just some thank yous. So you guys are welcome. All right, but other than that, thank you everyone for attending today. Hope you have a lovely day and week further, and we'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks, Raul.
Thank you.